Welcome to Allen Training Center's executive briefing on reducing your workplace stress. My name is Vaughn Sigmund. I'm an Allen Training Center coach and trainer in Huntington Beach, California. I appreciate everybody coming to me today. And I think we're going to talk about a topic that everybody can relate to some degree. Probably because you're watching it, you've got more of a degree than others. Stress is around us all the time. It can wear on us. I like to refer to it as death by 1,000 cuts. It just wears on us and wears out on us. And we don't always recognize it as it's happening. And as it builds and it builds, it starts having an impact on our lives. And generally, it's a very negative impact. It creeps up on us. It's an insidious villain that creeps into our daily lives. And we're in fact inflicting self-inflicted wounds on ourselves. And the great news is we can prevent that. And I'm going to share with you today 3 simple steps that you can take starting this afternoon if you want to start reducing your stress at work. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about Allen Training Centers. We're a nationwide organization of former executives and managers. And we've got several programs that we offer to corporations large and small. It's our training is very, let's call it industry agnostic. It fits whether you're in the healthcare industry, you're manufacturing, you're in insurance, you're a services provider. We've worked with almost every type of industry out there. We find that, well, our programs work for just about everybody. We've got several significant programs. Our first and the one we do the most work with is our high impact manager training program, which consists of 24 modules of leadership and management processes and approaches that allow your managers to understand how to be more effective leaders and in turn have a higher impact on your organization. We also have the Align Up training program, which gets the corporate executives aligned, which in turn, we teach those organizations how to get that alignment cascaded throughout the organization. And when you can get every employee in the organization and align with the CEO of the organization and vision and the mission of the organization, well, statistics show that you're 200% more productive and successful than organizations that aren't aligned. Think about having everybody on the same page. And then we have results-driven sales manager training, which is a version of the high impact manager, but it's specifically designed for just sales managers and those who manage sales teams with maybe not the title of being a sales manager. We call those functional sales managers. But it's 10 modules that takes you through how to expertly manage a sales team. And then we have executive coaching, one-on-one executive coachings that we offer managers and executives with, again, just about any type of industry. So let's talk about how stress might affect you. High levels of stress will keep you from being the best you, the best leader, the most effective manager that you can possibly be. It's preventing you from being as good as you can be. It wears on you. It slows you down. It changes your energy and focus. And I know I've experienced this more times than I'd like to admit. Often I have to take my own medicine. You know, I run a business. I own a business. I've managed dozens of businesses in the past. I've had executive roles with other companies and understand how this stress can sneak up on you. And I can tell you this has happened to me, and it may be happening to you, to where I get so tired and so frustrated. I get some brain fog. I get so stressed out that I make rash decisions. I make bad decisions. I react to things in ways I wouldn't normally react. And that's not good. That's not good for you. And in the end, when we become leaders of organizations, leaders of people, we're impacting those around us. And it's not fair to them for us to allow ourselves to be impacted by something that's so negative in our lives. So I'm going to share with you some possible reasons that you may or may not have considered in the past. Something like this. Just think about this. In the past 6 months, how many times have you felt like your stress level is so high that you couldn't focus? That you had projects or you had tasks to do and you couldn't focus effectively on that task or that mission? Has it happened more than once or twice? Have you gotten stressed out based on an employee coming to a particular employee that continually causes problems for you? They're causing you stress even though you're the boss. That doesn't seem right. I got to tell you, this stress is more than likely affecting those around you. Again, it sneaks up on you. And here's the other fact of leadership. The folks reporting you rarely will be brave enough to tell you as the boss that you're behaving funny. So be careful. Be careful, recognize it, understand that it's there, and more importantly, it's very expensive. So according to the American Institute of Stress, and yes, there's such a thing, workplace stress carries a price tag of over $300 billion annually. Where do you come up with that? Well, stress creates accidents in the workplace. It creates excessive absenteeism, employee turnover, and turnover is extremely important. In fact, depending on what stats you want to believe, even on the low end, employee turnover costs you about double what the annual paycheck is for the person you're replacing. And if you've got a 20, 30, 40, 50% turnover in your organization, that's costing you a ton of dough. And stress can be affecting that. It certainly cuts down on productivity. I know there's been times in my life, maybe even recently, that my productivity has been diminished because I was a little stressed out. I had too much on my plate. And sometimes it even causes legal issues. It causes medical issues, which leads to insurance costs. It costs you a lot of money, this workplace stress. So that often leads to workers' compensations. You know, that's one of the highest costs associated with payroll outside of insurance benefits that many companies pay. And if you've got a lot of accidents, as you well know as an employer, those worker comp premiums are going up. It's not getting any cheaper. So let me share with you some of my favorite tips, my three favorite tips. I might even have a bonus tip in here for you on how to reduce your workplace stress. This one is so obvious, but I find that many people don't recognize it. Time management. Where are you as a manager of your own time? Are you avoiding delegation? Are you willing to take an inventory of where you're spending time during the course of the day? Do you need to reprioritize? Are the distractions of the day taken away from you getting done what you need to get done, which creates stress? It adds hours to your day. It sometimes even takes up your weekends. Let's talk about that delegation thing. As a manager, it's one of the biggest sins you can commit is keeping too much on your plate. It really is. And as soon as you've got the trust and the ability to start turning some of your work over to somebody else, yes, you can do it faster. Yes, you're going to be more accurate. Yes, you've done it 1,000 times, maybe more, and you can do it better than anybody else around you. But man, if you don't start delegating and allowing other people to take on some of this work, you're going to be doing it the rest of your life, along with all the other duties that fall under your realm of responsibility. So don't you really need to stop and find somebody to assign this work to, even if it's a little bit of your work? Think about it as compounded interest. And over time, it adds up to a very large reward. So if you can just find one or two small duties and delegate those to somebody else, yes, you're going to have to take some time away from your duties to teach them how to do this job. but get it off your plate, because as you start getting responsibilities shifted over to somebody else and get very astute at that, your stress levels are going to go down. And if you're willing to change some of your workplace habits, if you will commit to changing your approach to business, how you run or manage or lead your organization or team, you'll start reducing stress just by finding ways that you're spending time in areas that you don't necessarily want to. So how are you at meetings? How are you good at, how good are you at managing your time? Do you have an agenda for your meetings? Do you start your meetings on time? Do you end them on time? Do you have the right people in those meetings? Are they productive meetings? Meetings that run long, not only you're affecting your own time management, but those are having to sit past the scheduled time that they put into their day. Now you're disrupting everybody's time management. And are you focused on the wrong activities? If people are coming to you all day, every day, asking you questions, asking you your opinion, trying to figure things out, and you're not putting that back on them, if you haven't spent the time to train them, to empower them, to allow them to go make their own decisions, the single best response that I've seen work over and over, and I've personally used this for decades, is when somebody brings me a problem, wants to get a solution from me, I turn it back on them and say, hey, what do you think you should do? Almost every time they have the right answer. Yeah, sometimes I got to polish it up a little bit, but most times they have the answer. They just need the security of getting that confirmation from you. Don't give them the answer. That's the goal in all this. And the more they become self-sufficient in solving their own problems, the more workload comes off of you, reducing your stress. So tip number 2 is strategically focus on what's really important. Keeping as my old friend Brad used to say, keeping the main thing the main thing. Do you have goals? Have you written those down? Are they in the form of a SMART goal, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or the person that's responsible for it? And most importantly, are they time bound? Have you put a time limit to when that goal is going to be reached? Because according to Parkinson's law, the job will expand to the time allotted. And very often, goals are set without an established endpoint as to when it needs to be achieved. So it just keeps extending. And then we're just having good conversations. We're really not achieving much. So make sure your goals are always set into a SMART approach. Create action plans. Who's going to do what by when? Time block. If you've got a lot of things going on, schedule it on your calendar. If you're not using a calendar, start using a calendar and schedule that time just like a doctor's appointment to work on your projects, work on your task, your most important task. Block that time aside so that you don't allow disruptions, distractions, things outside of this main focus, working and achieving this goal, that you don't allow these disruptions to come in and affect you. Because the better you get at this, the less stress you're going to have on you. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is follow-up. Follow-up is a huge stress reducer because you know that it's getting done. And if you don't build into every action plan, every strategy, every goal, some milepost along the way for you to determine where we're at, are we getting things done? Never assume that everybody's on the same page with you. When you do, that's going to create more stress. If you don't assume this and you're staying on top of things, I'm not talking about micromanagement, staying on top of the mileposts that you determine during the course of achieving that goal, well, let me tell you, that alone will reduce your stress tremendously. You'll sleep better at night. You'll enjoy your weekends. You'll enjoy your spouse. You'll enjoy your family, and your coworkers and your direct reports will enjoy you a whole lot more too. Tip number 3. your passion, your aptitude is born in you. And if you're working on things that you don't have the aptitude or the passion for, if you don't enjoy doing certain aspects of your current job duties, well, you got to get rid of those. You've got to spend time on what we call the platinum activities. Those things that A, are the most important to your job responsibilities, and two, are going to have the highest impact on your organization. And three, it's something you're really good at and you enjoy doing. That so much so that you don't even have to think about the step-by-step approach to doing it. So play to your strengths, play to your passions. The more you get the things you're not very good at off your plate, outsource that, delegate to somebody else. Because think about this, no matter what you're making per hour, you're a manager, you're a higher paid individual in your organization. If you're a business owner, pay close attention to this because you're most of the time the single highest paid person in your organization. And if you go through the course of the day and you study, you think about, you make it a conscious thought, what am I doing right now? What do I make per hour? Is what I'm doing right now worth what I'm making per hour? And very often, it's not. You could pay somebody 12, 15, maybe as little as $20 an hour to be doing exactly what you're doing right now. Not the higher pay level that you're at. So it's not very cost effective for you to be doing something you're not very good at, which is going to take you longer, that you don't enjoy doing, which is going to cause you stress. It's going to get done better. It's going to get done faster. It's going to get it off your plate. You're going to be a happier, stress-free executive or manager, supervisor, if you get rid of these things that you're not very good at and you don't enjoy doing. Because high impact managers, well, they only stay personally involved in the things they love doing. They've recognized the things that they don't like doing and they're not very good at, and they've gotten rid of them. Now, I'm going to throw in a little bonus here for some workplace stress reduction. I can't tell you how many times people they slap their heads when I bring this one up. Take a break during the course of the day. Go to lunch. How many times, because you're under so much stress and you got so much to do and your to-do list is a mile long, that you eat lunch in front of your computer or at your desk? You don't even take 10 or 15 minutes to get up, get away from things, walk outside, walk to the break room, go to a restaurant, have some socialization with other people. You as a human being need that release. And if you're not giving it to yourself, you're creating stress for yourself. Another big tip that I have to remind myself from time to time, and I've gotten better in my old age, is worry only about what you can control. If we get too worked up about things that are completely out of our control, we're creating unnecessary frustration for ourselves. Procrastination is another huge, creeping, insidious villain of ours. And if you give in to procrastination, putting things off that you know are going to have to get done, well, guess what happens? You're going to have to work nights, you're going to have to work weekends, you're going to have to work extra days, you're going to have to cut off things that you enjoy doing in order to get this thing off you've been putting off. So don't give in to it. Again, time block it. Put it on the schedule. If it's something that's going to take place over a longer period of time, require a longer period of time to get achieved, well, schedule several sessions to get it done. It doesn't all have to get done in one sitting. The thing you don't want to do is keep putting it off so that it's putting pressure on you and creating stress. And this is the last one. And this may seem silly to some people, but let me tell you, people in my coaching sessions come to me all the time with this great idea. They've got a friend that's looking for a job, and should I hire them? And thank God they asked me, because my answer is almost always no. Avoid that. Because here's been my experience, and I've got a lot of experience, maybe more than you. Been working for 50 years. I've been leading teams for 40 years. I've been doing this job, training other people as a former executive for almost a decade now. Almost never does this work out, because that friend is going to come in And the risk is so high of them not doing an acceptable job, taking advantage of the situation. And you as their friend are unlikely, because you don't want to ruin the friendship, to say anything about it. And that's going to build, and that's going to build, and that's going to build until finally it pops. You run the risk of exploding. You're going to ruin the friendship. You're going to lose an employee. What good came of that? Don't hire friends, please. Now, that's it for workplace stress. I hope you got something out of this. What were some of your key takeaways? If you had one or two key takeaways out of this, write them down. Capture that. Goals should always be put in writing, and make sure that you set timelines to achieve those. And if you picked up one habit that you'd like to change about yourself during the course of this webinar, write it down and set a goal to fix it. If you'd like to learn more about Allen Training Centers and all the multitude of training and leadership development courses that we offer you, reach out to us, allentrainingcenters.com, and you'll be able to see a full menu and syllabus of everything that we share. We use a blended learning approach that allows for slow and low learning, takes advantage of audio, the auditory, the visual, and most importantly, the kinesthetic. Our approach to training drives about 90% retention. Yeah, we can bring people in over a weekend workshop and train them up, and we can dump 20 modules on them in a weekend. But you know what? 7 days later, they're only going to retain about 10% of this. If you take your time the way Allen Training Center does it, and you deliver it over time in 2-hour increments, you give people time to go practice it. That's our approach. And most importantly, you're learning from firm executives. You're not learning from professional trainers that were just given a training book and say, go deliver this training material. We've lived this. We've done this. We have actually been frontline managers and executives. And we know how this stuff works. That brings a completely different dynamic to our training because we have firsthand real world knowledge of how all this works. We've been in this business for decades. We've worked with thousands of companies. I have just a small handful on the screen right now, from small architectural firms to very large mortgage companies, to very large healthcare companies, to very small software companies. The nation's leader in industrial paint finishes, one of the world's biggest jewelry manufacturers. We're very industry agnostic, as I said earlier. And we can work for your business too. Reach out to us. Let's have a conversation. allentrainingcenters.com. Because 90% of your challengers are the same as every other company. And our nationwide group of certified trainers and executive coaches can come in and take stress off of you, because we can start helping you with some of those leadership and management dynamics that are creating dysfunction within your organization. Our programs can be delivered both in person, right in your training room, right in your break room, right in your conference room, or more and more people are taking advantage of this. We do it virtually as well. Both ways work fantastically for us. Let's talk about that. We're going to give you a special offer because you watched this webinar. Here's the special offer. You ready for this? Visit allentrainingcenters.com. Take a look at our training, and we will give you a free 2-hour sample training class, your choice. And one of our certified trainers, either virtually or in person, will come to your place of business or visit your team via Zoom or whatever your preference is, and we'll deliver a free 2-hour training of your choice. Some examples of those trainings are how to hire top talent, one of our most popular courses, how to gain employee buy-in. Collaboration is a leadership dynamic that most managers don't take advantage of, and it's a game changer. Time management. I talked a lot about that today, but there's 18 time management obstacles we'll take you through during the course of that training module. Strategic leadership. How to build an action plan to get things done. Are you frustrated as a business owner, as an executive, as a team leader, that you're your goals aren't being reached, that things aren't getting done at the level you want to, this course will give you the tools and the knowledge you need in order to get the level of achievement that you want out of your position. Thank you all very much. This is Vaughn Sigmund. Please visit us, Allen Training Centers. We'd love to help you with your training needs and turn your management team into very high impact contributors. Thanks.